Okay, so third grade, yesterday we talked about making nouns plural. Plural means more than one noun. First off, what is a noun? A noun is a person, a place, or thing or idea. Something that you can touch is considered a noun. Today, our focus is going to move on to verbs. Verbs are action words. So in our English language, in order to make a verb be in the past tense or present tense, you need to add, you guessed it, suffixes. So just like to make a noun plural, other than an irregular noun, you add an S or you add an ES. That also works for verbs. So for example, if you say, I jump, he or she jumps. I catch, he or she catches. Now, that ends with a CH, so remember, it follows the same rule, like on a plural noun. Because that verb, catch, ends with a CH, you must add an ES to make the verb go with the pronoun for a verb agreement. He or she catches the ball. I jump, he or she jumps. I catch, he or she catches. So the suffix S and ES not only are added to nouns to make plurals, they're also added to verbs for verb agreement. Let that sink in. Okay, so third grade, remember our focus today on this day 2, week 1 of unit 2, plurals, suffixes, nouns, verbs. Verbs are action words. So remember, you can add an S or an ES for verb agreement, right? He watches the ball. Remember, because it ends with that CH, we have to add ES. She runs. We add the S. There's another suffix that we talk about, and it is the ing suffix. Okay, remember the ing suffix means something's happening in present time. So you can say, I dust, or I am dusting. I'm dusting. Currently, right now, I am dusting. So on that ing, again, it's for verb agreement with what you are doing in the present time. I am dusting. Now, in this case, you will say, he is dusting, they are dusting. That doesn't change. Like, I watch, he watches. Dusting would be the same. I am dusting, he or she is dusting. The other big suffix that is added to verbs is the ed. And the ed makes a verb in the past tense. Now, the thing that is tricky about the ed is the ed can make 3 different sounds. Unlike the es, watches, patches, catches, or the s, runs, jumps, climbs, or the ing, dusting, watching, patching. The ed makes 3 different sounds. The ed can sound like a t. The ed can sound like an id or an ed. And the ed can sound like a d. So it's kind of tricky for kids because when they hear these different sounds at the end of the word, they want to phonetically spell those out. They forget that it is just ed. They forget that it is just ed. So let me give you some examples. With the sound t, think about the word blinked. It sounds like it should say blinked, but it's not. It's an ed. Jumped sounds like there should be a T at the end of jumped. D. Think about the word id or ed. Blended. Blended. No. ed. Not id. Blended. Shifted. If something shifts, it moves. Shifted. It sounds like it should be shift, ed, ed or id, shifted. A lot of kids want to say id. But again, it is your ed suffix. And the last word is d. For example, drilled. It sounds like it should just be a d. But it is an ed suffix. Drilled. Banged. If you bang something against the wall, banged, it is an ed suffix. So remember that ed makes 3 different sounds, but it is still the ed suffix. Now, there are certain irregular verbs, right? So you think about keep and kept. You're like, Mrs. D, well, that ends with a T. Oops. Hold on. Okay, back from the dark. In this case, 3rd grade, the whole spelling changes. So that's, T's not considered a suffix. It's part of the spelling of keep and kept. Sleep and slept. Again, these are irregular. T is not a suffix. Ed is a suffix that can sound like a T. So you just have to be aware what the difference is between these irregular, keep, kept, sleep, slept, kneel, knelt. That's another kneel, or you knelt down to the ground. Dreamt, that's another one that ends with T. But most times, it's going to be your ed suffix that sounds like a T. Let that sink in.